welcome to the Citizen channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. And another episode of City at the Movies. Yeah, and please, just a small apology. I've chipped a front tooth, so my teeth look a bit weird today. My apologies. Very conscious of it, so I have to tell you because it's on my mind all the time. So I'm obviously waiting to get it sorted, but so please forgive me. But the show must go on, mustn't it? I've still got to do these vlogs every day, so I'm not going to hide away. Let's get on with it. Yeah, so City at the Movies. We've got to have a look at one of probably the newer ones. We look at City on film and TV over the years. We've gone back in time quite a few years, but today it's probably one of the most modern films that involving City, and of course a City legend. Of course, we're talking about the film The Keeper, obviously about the wonderful Bert Trautmann. I think it was actually called Trautmann in the German version, because what they did with this was actually produce both an English and German language version. So you've got two options. I think the actual German language version appeared slightly before the English language one as well. 114 minutes long, so it's quite long. 15 rating here in the UK. I'm not too sure why it was a 15 rating. A bit puzzled by that from what the BBFC, the British Board Film Classification. I'm not sure why it was given a 15 rating. I'll be totally honest with you. A bit confused by that one. It starred, of course, David Cross as Bert Trautmann, Freya Maver as Margaret Fryer, John Henshaw as Jack Fryer, and Dervla Kerwin as Clarice Fryer. Ratings, the ratings were all right on this one. Rotten Tomatoes, 6.4 out of 10 as I'm recording this early November-ish, 2021. Audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 4 out of 5. So perhaps there's a lot, so that's 8 out of 10. Perhaps a lot of fellow City fans watching this. Metacritic, I don't know what they've been on, to be honest with you. Only got a 52 out of 100, which was a bit of an odd score. There's only about 6 reviews left. There's one gave it 40 out of 100, and the others gave it 60 out of 100. So I'm not 100% sure where we get 52 out of 100 from, based on my brain. It should have been nearer 60, obviously, but there you go. It was only the New York Times who scored it a measly 40 out of 100, but then again, what do they know about English football, or proper football, as we like to call it? Let's be honest about it. But the guys I always go to, I do my film reviews as well as these City things, so it's nice to want to do a sort of crossover, if you like this is Internet Movie Database. 7.3 out of 10, so that was very, very good. I did a review on this quite a while ago now, probably about 18 months ago on this film, perhaps a couple of years ago when I first started doing vlogs, and it was about 7.1, so it has increased to 7.3 out of 10, so that's a good, healthy score. Could have been higher, to be honest with you, but you're always going to get other rival fans who don't like City on there giving it a low score, no doubt. I have no doubt that happened, in all fairness, so there you go. Yeah, of course, The Keeper portrays this goalkeeping legend Bert Trautmann, who we've all done many things on, and we know in our history. But I'll just have a quick look at City at the Movies, at how City sort of came out of it, what was sort of mentioned about City, and what events or places were actually came into this with the connection to City. And this it's a true sports drama biopic, of course. A nice touch, one of the nicest touches in this was, of course, John Henshaw, who's a big City fan himself, got a major role, of course, of Bert's, eventual father-in-law in this. Obviously, it's not when the film kicks off, pardon the pun, but obviously Bert Trautmann married John Henshaw character's daughter Margaret in this, so would become his father. Probably one of the best things about the film, as well as obviously the guy who portrays Bert, etc. But John Henshaw is particularly excellent in this. Some good northern humour as well, if you like that sort of thing. The first we get to see early, whilst Bert is seconded to play for St Helens Town, the obviously animosity, and obviously understandable animosity he's going to get, and even with spades, if you like, when he joins City a bit later on. But obviously he gets that from a smaller club point of view, from a smaller town point of view, when he's playing seconded to play for St Helens Town. And there's a little hint there at the long throw specialist is to come as well. And obviously, as you know, if you're a City fan, he more or less took over from Frank Swift. So obviously, Frank Swift himself was also pretty good at the long throw and setting up attacks with a long throw rather than a kick, stuff like that. So that was sort of came into evidence very early in the film. But it's 54 minutes in, they're nearly halfway through before the first City mention. A guy called Jock Thompson turns up to watch a St Helens game himself. Now, Jock Thompson, if you look at Jock Thompson in the sort of City record books as a City manager, if you go back to that time we were looking at, obviously with this film, obviously 1948-49. If you look for the managers in the City book, obviously he was manager 47-48, 48 and 49. Was obviously significant. 49-50. So they were the seasons he was actually managed 3 seasons. So that'll be interesting a bit later on when we look at this, because a bit of dramatic license used in this film, which is a little bit strange. So it's 54 minutes. Obviously, the mention of Jock Thompson turns up to watch a St Helens Town game. Jock Thompson, the quote is, "Jock Thompson from Man City's out there," John Henshaw's character says to the team at half-time as they struggle in a big relegation match. Of course, as I said, Jock Thompson only managed City between 47-50, but we'll get back to that. At the end of the game, Thompson is seen walking over to have a chat with Bert as well, so obviously we know something's going on. And when Jack himself asked Bert in the shower room shortly after what he'd said to him, he thinks Bert is joking that he's been asked for a trial to take over, of course, from Frank Swift, who'd obviously retired or was retiring from City at the time. But now, by now, obviously, the film progresses, and Bert, because of his play on the pitch, has will become relevant later on as well, because of his qualities on the pitch, becomes more or less accepted at St Helens Town. Well, probably apart from the guy who's obviously his love interest is a competitor for, but these things happen, don't they? But of course, we know harder times will lie ahead. Yeah, an hour and 9 minutes in, he does get married to the lovely Margaret, and the scene changes. A great little scene in the distance of Manchester that's based on October 1949. There's some images on the disc as well, on the DVD, showing the sort of transformation, how they took the original stock photos and then actually put them back to 1949. Some good stuff. So if you do have the DVD, watch the special features. It shows a bit about that. So yeah, we go on to 1949, and Bert's apparently in City's trophy boardroom. I have been in that myself a few times, obviously at Main Road over the years. It did obviously it wasn't the real one, obviously, of course it wasn't, but it wasn't the greatest mock-up. I thought it was a bit, although obviously the wood panelling that we see throughout is probably par for the course. Obviously, it was quite a big room, the City board trophy room. He got a more claustrophobic feel in this film when he was Bert was wandering around looking at trophies, etc. And Margaret, his wife, was with him. And of course, Jock Thompson takes him away and leads him and his new wife there to meet the press. Yeah, in another room. There's a lot of side rooms, a lot of that. So that's sort of quite believable, and it has that sort of look about it. And it is a less than enthusiastic welcome from the press as you'd expect, and all the questions turn out to the Jewish community and what they will think about this, and what he did during the war, stuff like that. So he's given a pretty hard time then, and it sort of goes over them. Obviously, the struggles he has playing football and away from football, obviously mentally, to take this sort of abuse and hatred, if you like, because that's what it boils down to. Very, very shortly after this press sequence, actually, we do get a glimpse outside at a mock-up of Main Road in all its 40s, worn-out, tatty-looking glory. I mean, it looked a bit like that in the 60s to me when I was a kid, to be honest with you. And it shows, obviously, the Platt Lane corner. And I think they used, I think I'm right in saying this, Glentoran's East Belfast ground for the Oval for some backdrop, and then obviously put various frames onto it. And again, I think that's in the special features where it's to make it look more like Main Road. Because obviously there's not a lot they could have done in 2018, and sadly it was just a housing estate, isn't it? And of course, it's revealed that obviously Bert had won an Iron Cross, so he was a fully fledged German soldier, if you like. So all these things are, you get protesters, hundreds, thousands of protesters walking to the ground with placards. Rabbi Altman, one of the Jewish leaders, or the main Jewish leader at the time, is called to the ground, but sort of can offer nothing really. He's not very helpful. City shouldn't have bought a Nazi. That's what he says to the City guy. Rabbi Altman himself lost both his parents and family, of course, in the Holocaust, so totally understandable his initial reaction to this. An hour and 40 minutes, yeah, we get a glimpse of the dressing rooms. A bit tattier than I remember the dressing rooms being there. I've been in the dressing rooms at Main Road, and we've got change in the dressing rooms at Main Road. Perhaps we were a little bit tatty in those days. I'm not too sure, but obviously, again, not very similar to what I remember about Main Road, but there it is. And a wonderful sky blue kit with a big white collar on that obviously was used at the time as well. An hour and 15 minutes in, yeah, there's an excellent reproduction of Main Road, obviously, as it shows Bert coming out at Main Road. So you get him from the tunnels, so the unroofed Kippax, if you like, in the background. Then you get a great vision, bird's eye view from a corner, top, high in a corner of Main Road. Fantastic. It is fantastic, obviously, as I say. It's not totally spot on, but as near as you can, allowing for the fact of having to redo these things. And of course, the crowd are against him. Even the city, I don't think there's a voice for him, to be honest with you. They all seem to be booing him. I'm sure it wasn't 30, 40,000 booing him. I mean, I'm sure it was a big percentage or a lot of people, but it just felt as though the whole ground was against him. Just to get the, as I said, the dramatic license into this, I think. And the tunnel as well. The tunnel was a lot bigger than obviously the actual tunnel at Main Road. It looks a lot wider and sort of more angled, but these are all the little things. It doesn't make it, to me, it doesn't ruin it totally. You're not going to nitpick over things like that. But finally, as things progress, as he starts to play well and he proves to be a decent human being, of course, Rabbi Altman changes his tack a little bit. And obviously this is part and parcel of what starts to turn fans more in his favour as far as the Jewish community is concerned. And in general, obviously he wrote in the papers, or an article was printed by Rabbi Altman saying, each member of the Jewish community has had his own opinion, but there's no concerted effort to end our support for Manchester City Football Club. If this goalkeeper is, as they say, a decent fellow, I will say there is no harm in playing football. Each must be judged on his own merits. So he wrote that, and obviously an influential letter to the newspapers. And Bert's displays, as I said, he went down. We know he went down. We don't see that as such. He went down to London and won over the London fans, where he got special abuse. That's what I'm saying. The abuse at Main Road seemed very vitriolic, but obviously from reading reports, it was obviously, as he went around the countries, the places that were affected more by the Germans, of course, places like Liverpool that were bombed and London especially, he didn't get a very warm welcome. But his display started to win the crowds over. Obviously, it wasn't an overnight thing. He had to work at it. But by 1951, when Bert's son is born, which is excellent, obviously things are looking a little bit brighter. An hour and 21 minutes in, we get to see some brief actual footage. Yeah, not the acting footage, but actual footage from PAF News of various games, some in the snow as well, which is great to watch. So you get little excerpts from that. That's a nice touch. And of course, showing new fans clamouring for his autograph as his popularity was growing, not just at City, but obviously in England in general. An hour and 23 minutes in, yeah, we jump. Yeah, it doesn't really mention the 55 FA Cup final too much that we lost. Obviously, we jump to the 56 FA Cup final. And obviously we get to Wembley for that, and just before Wembley he takes his little family on a little vacation, and we get a snippet of Blue Moon, which is nice. Obviously the City fans weren't singing it in those days, but yeah, this is the Lisa Hannigan version, a very good version actually. I've listened to it a couple of times since, so have a look out for that on YouTube. Lisa Hannigan, her version of Blue Moon, which features in this film. And of course, as I say, it's 56 and City are at final again after losing the season previously, and there's some great scenes of Wembley. As I say, it's not City connected, although it's become a Etihad South now, hasn't it? But yeah, some great views of Wembley in the way they did Main Road as well. Some great stuff, lots of crowd things with blue rosettes. Interesting enough, Jock Thompson is still there, 1956. So there you go. He left as a manager in 1950. So that's a bit of a weird one. I know Dr. Gary James was involved in this, but as I said, I think this is just probably dramatic license. It's not going to be 100% accurate to real life. It's a film at the end of the day. It's not a docu-film. It's a film based on true events. So yeah, I don't mind that so much, but it just seemed a bit odd looking back. At the time when I watched it, I didn't even really think about that. It's only recently I've done it, but there may have been a reason, but I just think it's for dramatic license to have his character in it throughout the film. And there's quite a few. Yeah, when you see the newsreels of Wembley and you see the newsreels of Main Road, you would find very few women. But when you look at the close-ups of the crowd, I mean, it's not a big thing, of course, it's not. But there seems to be more female faces in the close-ups of the crowd. Perhaps it's a certain section of the crowd where there would have been more females. I'm not too sure, but that wasn't exactly, to me, wasn't particularly authentic at the time. Very male-orientated stuff, as we know at that time. Of course, it's only fairly recently it's becoming less so, of course. And of course, we got the famous maroon kit. That looks good. That does look good on camera. The famous maroon top. I've got a version of my own version as well, stuck in the back there. So yeah, so we get that, and of course, on about an hour and 30. So over through about 80% into the film, isn't the famous broken net incident, which is put together. We don't show it doesn't show actual footage of it. It's just a dramatic, just a done for the film, if you like. He's done very, very well, actually, and he hobbles about and saves and jumps about and collapses at various times. It does look dreadful. There's a big, big problem there. And obviously, we do find out, obviously, the extent of the broken neck and obviously what went down in history as far as Bert Trautmann and Manchester City are concerned. Of course, we get to see, sadly, Bert's his son knocked over and killed just a few months after that, and he becomes disillusioned with everything, as you'd expect, and he eventually returns to the team some time later. A dressing room scene again. Jock's still there. He's still hanging on. Perhaps he's not been told he's been sacked or he's left or resigned or whatever. I'm not too sure. But obviously he's welcomed back by the players and fans alike. And of course, we get the end. Some acknowledgements with the end titles, as you do with true stories. Trautmann ended his career in 1964 after playing 545 matches for City. Mr. Gary James is involved in this film. I'm not going to go back and check whether this is correct or not. After the last match, fans dismantled his goal, so no one ever stand between his posts. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a funny one, because didn't he actually retire and then actually came back at one stage? I think I'm right in saying that. So I'm not sure after which last match we're talking about, but I understand if it was believed to be his last match, that would have happened. The first foreign player, of course, to be voted English Player of the Year. Britain awarded him the Order of the British Empire, which is OBE, for his contribution to Anglo-German relations, and Germany themselves give him the Order of Merit for the same thing. Of course, Margaret and Bert had two more sons. I think they did actually split up as well, not covered in the film. Margaret died in 1980, and of course, Bert died in 2013. So an excellent film, not just for football fans, not just for City fans. I mean, especially for City fans, it's a brilliant film for City fans, but it's an excellent film for other football fans as well. And as a true drama, say at the time when it did come out, my fiance watched it with me, and she loved it as well, with it being a true story. She's not really into football as such, so there you go. A great film. So I thought we'd just have a chat about it and some key moments with City stuff and my little thoughts. As I say, I'm doing a lot of this from. If I've any quotes I've got slightly wrong, and please forgive me. I try and do these things and then try and reflect on my personal thoughts and what I remember of things as well. So I hope you enjoyed that anyway. And thanks for joining me this latest City at the Movies, or obviously it's called that, but we do cover TV and stuff as well. So yeah, let's get more stuff out there. Eh? Let's get so us City fans can watch these things. But hope you enjoyed it anyway. And this look at The Keeper, of course, the film about the wonderful legend, City legend, Bert Trautmann. Thanks for joining me. Whatever you're going to do rest day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. So we meet here again on the Citizen channel. Perhaps you have a look across, please, at my film and TV channel as well. I try and inform and entertain on there as well. There's a little bit of a crossover with this one, isn't there? As there always will be with this sort of thing. Anyway, whether it's on there or back on the Citizen channel, I only ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.